another minute. I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm going to move on because I know next is lunch. So, the real question is, what are you going to do about the ones that you didn't circle? Because if those things bring you joy and make you feel your best, well, just like Mr. Jones said, it's up to you, right? So, I'm just going to share a few short stories just to illustrate the point of living with your purpose or joy. So, who knows about the prodigal son? Very common, mainstream, right? Okay. So a lot of times when we talk about the prodigal son, we talk about how the father, well, if you're not familiar with the prodigal son, let me rewind that really quick in a nutshell. So for the prodigal son, there is a father who's a wealthy landowner who has two sons. The younger son decides he wants to leave home and go do fun things and venture out on his own without being under his father's care anymore. So he asks his father, "Father, can I have my share of the inheritance because I want to go out there and make something of myself?" And then the older son, who's more obedient, stays home. You know, he's always obedient. He's always there supporting his father and the family and the land. But the father says, "Okay, son," to the younger son, and says, "Okay, so if you want to go out there, no questions asked. Here's a check for $25,000. Go ahead and go do what you will. Buy your new car, your new Tesla, buy an apartment in the city. You're all good." Sets him out on his own. What happens? The younger son squanders his fortune, is eating out of a pigsty, and decides, you know what? What are we doing here? When my father is still, his servants still eat better than I do. So let me go home and ask my dad for forgiveness. So we focus a lot on that part of the story, but what we don't look at as much is the older son, right? How does the older son feel when the younger son returns? Because when the younger son returns, they have a party, they slaughter the animals, and have a big feast. But the older son is not happy. He's bitter. He's resentful. He's upset. He's like, "Dad, I've been here obedient to you the whole time. I never squandered your fortune. I didn't throw it away. I took care of the family estate so that we would have an inheritance for decades to come. How come you're not doing this for me? Why didn't I ever get any of this spotlight?" Well, the father says to the son, "Son, you've always had all of these things. They've always been at your disposal." So, just a lesson on perspective for us that if we always have the resources and the things to make us live our best life and live up to our potential, then why aren't we using them? Right? Second story. As I was preparing this presentation a month ago, my cousin Ben, shifting gears, my cousin Ben passed away. And when my cousin Ben, he left behind a 18-year-old son and a 12-year-old son, and his 18-year-old son actually just started college this year. He's the first in their family to go to college, but he passed away unexpectedly from cancer. He found out about 4 months ago that he wasn't going to make it. So for the next 4 months, he set out to do the best he could for his family and be there for his kids and enjoy life as well as he could. But what made me sad is, as his health was deteriorating, he really couldn't do all the things that he really wanted to do, like travel with his kids. So we never know when, it could be our turn to be called. So just food for thought there that just to enjoy your life with your families while we're here. Third story, my 9/11 story. Okay. So I'm sure a lot of us remember where we were on 9/11. Yeah, maybe at work, at home, taking the kids to school. So for me, 9/11 was a pivotal day in my young life, where I learned how to change my outlook on things in life. So on 9/11, I was on my way to work in downtown Washington, D.C., and we saw the Pentagon. Our train passed by the Pentagon, and it was on fire that day, and we were like, what's going on here? We just thought it was another fire that would be easily put out by the department. No big deal. So I get to work that day, and it's just me and my supervisor, and the TV's on, and we see the first tower go down, and then the second tower comes down. And at that point, my supervisor's like, all right, well, looks like we gotta go. You're on your own, because I only have a 2-seater in my car and I gotta go pick up my wife, so you're on your own. Are you gonna be okay? And this is me, I'm 21 years old, I'm interning from college in San Diego, don't know what I'm doing, first time away from home, like, okay, brace yourself. You're gonna go out there in the streets and you're gonna do this, because we don't know what's gonna happen next. We don't know if there's gonna be another attack in DC, which there was supposed to be, but, you know. So I brace myself, I head downstairs, and everything is at a standstill, right? There's no phone service, no telephones, the trains are at a standstill, and you know, if you've been to DC, you know that there's only one way on, one way off, just like in Coronado, right? When the bridge is at a standstill, nobody's going anywhere. So there were hundreds of us on the street wondering, what are we gonna do? So all we could do was just camp out. So I just remember camping out in front of the CNN building, like, all right, well, I don't know when the next attack is gonna be, but I'm here and I'm gonna brace myself for it. So I spent the remainder of that day just thinking about life. Like, you know, at 21, you're like, yeah, party, you know, I can't wait to go out with my friends and this and that. But at that point in my life, something switched in me that, you know, I need to do something, because you don't know when it's your time to go, right? You don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. It's not promised to anybody. So from that point on, I made a promise to myself that no matter what I do in life, I'm gonna embrace my humanity and always give back in whatever I do. So that was my reminder that life is too short to live without purpose or joy. Okay, good on time, almost time for lunch, everybody's okay. Drinks. All right, so second part of this is facing challenges head on. You guys know the fight or flight syndrome, right? We experience it pretty often, like every day. So for me, in trying to become Miss San Diego, has anyone been to like a Miss San Diego pageant or one of those? Or yeah. They're a lot of fun, right? They're a lot of fun, and they're very community and family oriented. You know, like when I would compete, we would make it a big hoopla for the whole family to come. Oh, my aunts and uncles, even my grandma and my grandpa, like they'll make their way up. Okay, we gotta go watch our granddaughter. She's competing. You know, they're very proud, right? So for me, it took a couple years, and mind you, I'm the child of immigrants, so my parents, English wasn't their first language. They couldn't teach me interview skills so that I would be able to succeed in life. They couldn't do that. So to them, competing in pageants was an avenue for me to enhance my speaking skills, not be shy, know how to talk to people, you know, learn about networking, putting yourself out there, facing challenges head on. So after 5 years, it took about 5 years. You know, each year I learned. You know, sometimes I wouldn't make the top 5 or top 3, but eventually my time came where I was able to garner the title. So that was a big deal for my family. You know, very proud. I think my father was just starting in postal at that time. Now, after Miss San Diego, you go on to the Miss California America pageant, which if you win that, you get to go on to Miss America. And there's a difference. Miss America is the system where you talk, you interview for 10 minutes with like a panel of 10 right in front of you, and you know, you have to talk about everything from your education to your history, career goals, even politics. Even though at 21, I don't know. But so for me, my goal was to become Miss California. Like, okay, I can do this, you know? The dream come true for me, who used to eat lunch in the bathroom in high school because I had so much social anxiety. I was so scared. I didn't know how to talk to people, you know. So my time came. I think it's the third time that I got to go to Miss California. My time came. All right, you know, and you know, contestant number 7, Cheryl White or Cheryl Dane at the time. You're up. You know, come on up to the top 5. And you've all seen the pageant like on TV, right? Everyone gets called, and you don't know what they're gonna ask because that comes out of the fishbowl. Okay. So you think after all those years of preparation, you know, after 5 tries at the San Diego, finally make it, like, okay, yeah, you got this. No. So, you know, we would practice too. Like my coach and I would always practice with a group of friends. You know, we would do interview questions, the hard ones too. You know, what do you think of this policy? What do you think of No Child Left Behind? What do you think of the war? Stuff like that, right? Really heavy duty questions. So on stage that night, we were at the William Soroyan Theater in Fresno, if anyone's familiar with Fresno. Packed stadium, top 5 questions. All right, okay, next contestant. Cheryl, okay, pick your question. Okay. So my question is, so Cheryl, in the news recently, we've seen a lot of young women deciding to get plastic surgery for non-medical purposes. What do you think about that? Are you all formulating the answers in your head right now? Poor me, I don't remember practicing that question during interview practice. And I couldn't, for the life of me, think of an answer. It didn't come out. And I promise you, I prepared. But when I stood up there and I looked straight ahead at that big old spotlight and I couldn't see anybody, and it was just empty space, I froze. And all I could say was, well, thank you. I couldn't even formulate words. Terrible, terrible, terrible. But you know, those are the lessons that haunt you and you take with you, because then they always force you to level up with everything you do after that, right? So I froze and I passed the mic on to my roommate, who was an awesome, awesome contestant, and she ended up being crowned the winner. So I was happy. It was like my victory was her victory, it was my victory. You know, we all win. Everyone went home, we were happy. So, facing challenges head on. Last story. Okay. So I just want to talk about my mom, because she's just been such an integral type part of my life. And you know, I've always seen her as a strong woman. Like, you know, again, she's 4'11", little Filipino lady, strong as an ant. Like, you know, an ant, how it can carry 1,000 times its weight. Like my mom, when we were moving, we lived in Vegas, moving back and forth from San Diego to Las Vegas, like she was there. Like my husband would be tired, like after 6 hours of moving, he'd be sitting there on the couch, and then my mom would still be moving furniture. Like, oh, you need your, you know, dresser? Okay, I got it. You know, like at midnight, she'd still be moving furniture, bless her. So, but with my mom, she was always dependent on my dad. Again, you know, coming from the Philippines, they always relied on each other. So she relied on him for everything, from paying bills to taking her to doctor appointments and everything. But then, you know, as life happens, after 34 years of marriage, at the age of 62, they both got divorced, which is heartbreaking because, you know, this was mom and dad. You know, you don't expect it. And I think we were in Vegas at the time, so I didn't see it coming. But it was heartbreaking to see my mother reduced to feeling like she was powerless and helpless. So for her, that was a time in her life to rebuild and relearn. She had to establish a new lifestyle for herself. But now I'm proud to say that my mom does everything by herself. She'll drive to Vegas by herself. She'll go wherever she wants to go with her friends. You know, oh, I'll see you later. Okay, I'm going to the casino. Okay, you go ahead. You know. So mom's now 65 and she's doing well and she's thriving because she decided to face her challenges head on. And she didn't do it by herself. We never do it by ourselves. You need community to win. Community. So just thinking about who is your community? Who are your people? Who's your circle of influence? Today we have the Postal Customer Council here, okay, professionally. Personally, we have our family and our friends. Yeah, we have family and friends. Because as life happens, sometimes we don't have family and we don't have friends if we're going through some tough times in our life. Sometimes we think we can handle it by ourselves. But if you guys, who knows who Mel Robbins is? Here's the Mel Robbins? No? Okay. Well, it's been around for a while. It's a Harvard study, but she used it in her new book called 54321, and it's a method that you use. So that way your hypothalamus doesn't start overthinking. You count down backwards when you need to do something. Like if I was just about to come up here and give this talk, I counted back 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I went and I did it. And I didn't even think about it because if you have time to think too much on something, sometimes it causes analysis paralysis, right? So if you don't have a community, if you don't have that family or friends circle to help you get through the challenges in life, who cares? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go make new ones. Go connect with other people. Find things that you have in common with people that will empower you and put that positivity into your life. Now, homework. Okay, wrapping up. Lunchtime now, okay? Homework. Pick one of the things on your list. I know that there are some of you that have done all 5, which is awesome. Maybe you can take someone else who has only done 2 or 3 of the things on their list and encourage them to do it or go do something with them. But pick that thing that you haven't done in a while, that you might need to do again, that brings you joy, and go do it. Go do it. Like for me, it's up here speaking to you all, which is my honor. But go do it as long as it's legal. I don't want anyone to call Gloria or Christina and say, oh, your speaker told me to go do it. So that's just a photo for illustration. I'm terrified of heights, but that's the zip line in Vegas if you've ever been to old Las Vegas, right, where the zip, oh, I didn't look down. So that's something fun too. Okay. And just a quote to leave you with: accept your past without regret, handle your present with confidence, and face your future without fear. I can't take credit for that, but I thought it was an awesome quote. Can't change the past, but you certainly have the power to take ownership of today, moving forward. And last but not least, just a quick plug, thank you all for your time. Just some social media channels if you guys want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, my website. I'm also excited to announce that I actually released my first book yesterday, and it's called Making It, Success Principles from the Perspective of a First-Generation American, me. It's available on Amazon, and I made 2 versions. The yellow copy, the yellow cover, actually has scriptures at the front of each principle, because there are 10. And then the pink is the standard version, so no principles, no biblical scripture in front of the principles. No principles, I didn't say that. I take that back, please omit that. So thank you all so much. It's truly been an honor to be able to speak with you all today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us. We have a little gift for you. It is frame stamped art of Jamie Escalante, a famous educator. Thank you. Hold on 1 second, I'm going to turn this over to Vanessa.
Okay, guys, now we are going to proceed to lunch. We will also be showing at